Good evening from Kazakhstan. I'm here in the capital Astana. Now, one of the things that I hear from a lot of dating coaches online, especially here on YouTube, especially ones I consider more or less fake coaches, probably reading off some marketing copy, is that a lot of them focus on having big muscles, right? And they say, this is how you get the girls, be jacked. And a lot of them are. They're actually, a lot of them turn out to be ex-fitness coaches. So is it true? Do you need the big muscles, which obviously I am lacking to date the super beautiful women of Eastern Europe, the 9s and 10s? Or is it just a big myth? Поехали!
SAR Experience.
So let me start off by saying that I don't think in general that looks, being handsome, being necessarily jacked, in general has as much value here in Eastern Europe as it does in the West. Now there's a reason for that, and I actually made another video, link it up in a card down below in the description if you want to dive deeper into these kind of topics. Basically in the West, women are more emancipated in general than you're going to find in Eastern Europe, whether it's here in Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Russia, Moldova, probably still the Baltics, and maybe even parts of Central Europe like Poland, although that is less the case there. And as a result, women can actually achieve, let's say, status and resources, money by themselves, or they're more inclined to do that in those cultures in the West than here in general in Eastern Europe. As a result, looks are less of a priority for women here just because they prioritize status and resources more through their relationship with man rather than focusing on a career. Now that's a generalization, but it is something that's important to realize about Eastern Europe. So I will put your fitness in that kind of same box as looks in general. Now that said, you cannot be one thing in general, and that is obese. If you're obese, it is unhealthy. It is this, well, it's probably more drastic for women because men are more visually attracted, first of all, at least to women. That's kind of higher priority is going to be looks on the scale of, we'll say, qualities or the bundle of qualities that men are looking for in general in a partner as opposed to women. But being obese is a big minus. It is unhealthy, first of all. So it's a biological indicator of your survivability going forward. Obesity is a big negative.
Я считаю, что хорошее телосложение имеет значение в любом случае. Это визуально более притягивает. Мне кажется, что когда женщина видит более симпатичного и подтянутого мужчину, более спортивного, это биологически, что девушка на него будет обращать внимание. Точно так само мужчина, если будет видеть худую, стройную, красивую, подтянутую, будет на нее обращать внимание больше, визуально, глазами. Но для девушки это, можно сказать, второстепенный фактор. Первый фактор, это, я думаю, что это деньги и умение зарабатывать мужчины и другие разные качества.
When I'm talking about whether you should be jacked and everything, we're talking about levels of fitness. So being obese and being completely out of shape, big minus. You want to avoid that for sure. In the past in Eastern Europe, I would have said that you would see quite often guys who actually were obese, local guys, are very close to being clinically obese, older, normally had a lot of money and status, that they would still date women dramatically longer and very attractive. I think you see that a lot less now than you did 10 years ago. And also within Eastern Europe, maybe it's to do with Instagram or just a change in the culture for some other reason, definitely fitness and going to the gym has increased dramatically locally. And that, for girls to get those top Instagram pics from the gym on their butt or somewhere else, that's obviously an incentive. Whatever the incentive is, definitely you see that a lot more. So definitely being fit, as opposed to being a big fat slob, kind of the stereotype of someone who's obese, definitely been gaining traction. Same goes actually for alcohol consumption. Definitely in Ukraine is a lot less than it was 10 years ago when it first, or over 10 years ago when it first started coming to the country. In some of the countries you see it a bit more still, like Belarus, Russia, also Moldova. I saw people I don't think drink as much as they did in the past, but that is different, being in that baseline, not obese, going to the gym and actually being reasonably fit versus actually having a six-pack and being jacked and maybe taking some enhancers to be big. is that really going to make a big difference to your dating life when you come to Eastern Europe? Because it is a big time commitment, and time is something that we all have to prioritize exactly where we want to invest it. What I've seen with, over the last 10 years of, like 13 or 14 years of hanging out in Eastern Europe, and obviously the last few years of being here on YouTube and documenting it, having clients, having friends, is that in general, being big and jacked, which obviously I am not, but I do have friends and clients who have been, is that it makes a difference, but in this one sense, that I think it plays into a particular look, which is kind of more the bad boy look. And if girls are going through that, then definitely, yes, being big and muscular will help with that because it fits the look. But would I say that being jacked makes a massive difference to your perceived value on the dating market? I would say it makes a very small difference, and in fact a lot of girls are just not going to be attracted to huge muscles. Тебе нравится, когда мужчина, да, парень, у них очень много мускулов или типа меньше? Что ты думаешь, что это больше аттрактивно, больше красиво для тебя?
В меру. Типа и не слишком, но как бы для меня лучше, чтобы мужчина все-таки следил за собой, знаешь, держал себя в форме. Как бы вот это вот пузо, как бы, знаешь, я не думаю, что мне бы понравилось. Нет.
Right.
Мне нравятся более спортивные, да, я бы сказала, что более спортивные.
They want a guy who's probably reasonably in shape, has worked in his muscle tone, but that's kind of it. There probably isn't going to be a massive amount of value after that. So I would say at most you're looking at a half point, maybe on that scale of 1 to 10, which I don't really like, but guys can kind of relate to what I mean by that when I'm saying 1 to 10. So you probably get about a half point. Now, the question is, if you love going to the gym and you love working out and you're going to do it anyways, then I'm not going to tell you to stop because you actually enjoy doing it, and it does make a bit of a difference. But what I find with clients is that we all need to figure out where to invest our time constructively, and if you lack social skills, like you really need to work on what's kind of known, I guess, in YouTube as game. If you need to work on your ability to interact and demonstrate your value, and you're lacking, like, say, 4 points on that, well, that's where you should be investing your time into working on, and not spending an extra few hours a day or a week in the gym. That's not going to give you a return on your investment. And actually, in my experience, I had about, well, it's a little bit over 10 years ago, I actually had a top coach for the gym, and I spent probably, it could have been close to a year working out with him 3 times a week, and I really worked on building up my muscle tone. And I discovered that, at least I perceived that in my dating life at least, it made zero difference. Of course, some girls commented on it who knew me from before. Wow, your muscles are so strong and tough, and you look so much more in shape than you've ever done in your life. That's amazing, blah, blah, blah. But actually, in terms of dating really beautiful women, or, dating more women, or whatever metric you want to use, I felt it was basically a complete fat line. And on top of it, I was spending an enormous amount of time, obviously focusing on the fitness. I was 3 times a week with my coach, my personal trainer, and I was working out 3 times on my own, normally doing the cardio stuff. I was watching what I was eating, becoming obsessive about it. And whilst it did make a difference, obviously I could see a difference. I needed to buy new clothes, first of all. It just didn't translate into actually more success in terms of dating. And I didn't really work in anything else in that year, so that was the one change. And the question is, would I go back and do that again? Well, it was great to learn how to be fit, but what I did afterwards is actually, because I've been living in Munich in Germany and then traveling to Eastern Europe, is I actually started to spend at least half the year, more than half the year in Eastern Europe. And actually that made a huge difference actually to my success in dating. And obviously then I started to work in other things in light of the fitness not making a massive difference. And actually, I have another video about geomaxing, which is moving to another country, what difference that's going to make if you move here to Eastern Europe in terms of your dating life. Obviously, there are other reasons to move here as well. I outline those in other videos. I'll put a whole slew of them down below in the description to this video. In summary, I would say that being jacked, which is what a lot of these ex-fitness coaches, as to circle back to the beginning of the video, this is what they promote. They say, be jacked, make lots of money. yeah, that's all fine, but that's not identifying really the places that you can get the most return on investing your time into improving, right? And in my experience with just not myself, but also looking at my friends and my clients, is that just not being fat and being in reasonable shape, going to the gym a bit, will get you most of the value out of that in terms of the fitness. Of course, if you want to fit into that look, that bad boy look, then yeah, then definitely will help with that if you're going to invest the massive amount of time to actually get bulk up and be jacked and ripped and whatnot. But just overall, I think objectively looking at it, that it doesn't make a massive difference with the super hot, beautiful 9s and 10s of Eastern Europe. And you heard it from the horse's mouth in the interviews that I included in this video. So just before I leave you here in the on the windswept steppe of Central Asia / Eastern Europe, which is the capital Astana of Kazakhstan, make sure that you're on my free mailing list. Down below is a link, and you will get access to the Czar's hotspots, which is going to be a lot more valuable, I think, probably overall, knowing which places to go to when you're traveling in Eastern Europe, where you're more likely to meet the super hot, beautiful women, the 9s and 10s here, the Olympian level beautiful women, than spending an extra 50 hours in the gym, whatever, or taking some supplements or something more extreme than that to bulk yourself up. Because very soon I will be relaunching my premium dating program for Eastern Europe. It's called Slavic Seduction Secrets. So just make sure that you're on that, because I only launch and relaunch those programs to my most loyal fans. I'm going to head into a nice warm restaurant, sit down, enjoy some hearty Kazakh food, because it is absolutely freezing here. Never come in, late autumn to the steppes of Kazakhstan without your winter parka, because I am only going to get that when I fly back to Europe next week. There's an extra additional tip for you, probably going to be of more use than a lot of the other dating advice that you get, or practical advice. Anyways, I'm rambling on at the end of this video. See you in the next one. Do svidaniya from Astana, Kazakhstan.
Czar Experience.